A little nervous here, so bear with me. And if anybody that can't hear me in the back, I'll try to project my voice.
May I take a picture?
Sure. So today I'm here to talk about sales and marketing books. And this actually can apply for marketing your business or charity event or fundraiser. So all these different ideas and tips, they can be applied to all different areas, not just books. So, and a nice thing about all the things that I'm going to talk about today are things that you can do for free. And since I, as an author, independent author, I don't have a very big budget for marketing. Everything that I sell for my books goes back into buying more books, printed books, and then doing social media, doing Amazon ads. So I don't have a lot of budget for advertisement. So hopefully these tips that work for me hopefully can work for you. Again, my name is Ingar Ruthholm. I could skip over the illustration part because we talked about that. But in 2014, my mother passed away, leaving behind a set of paints, a box of brushes, and empty canvases. And she always wanted to paint in retirement, but she never got that chance. So I woke up in a cold sweat one night after she passed away, and I thought, you know what? If I want to do something that I'm passionate about, I better do it right now, because who knows what happens in the future. So my biggest inspiration was my mom. So I was born in Muskegon, and I was raised in Whitehall, Michigan. And in 1984, Funnel Field was right across the street from my house. And in 1984, this poster was hanging up on the light poles, and I would have went up and down Colby Street seeing this. And since we didn't really have a movie theater, when the circus came to town, it's kind of a big deal. And nowadays, when I talk to kids, they're like, circus, what's that, you know? So it's a bygone era. So I thought I'd write a coming-of-age story, even though it's fantasy. It's a coming-of-age story about things that I remember from my childhood. So that's enough about me. I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about book marketing. And hopefully what I have to say will help you. The number one thing that I run into, besides a real low marketing budget, is obscurity. And what I mean by that is, when I go out to the bookstore, library event, art shows, which Leanne, that's how I met Leanne. I did an art show here last Christmas, the previous Christmas. People don't know me. And it's like, in business, we used to have a handshake and a smile, but now it's about networking, finding opportunities, and people don't know me. They don't know if it's a good book or a bad book. So obscurity is my biggest issue. And I always try to get out of obscurity, trying to introduce myself to new readers. And my readers are between the ages of 10 and 12. So when I talk to them, I'm like down like this. So a little bit about the book. Again, it's about a shy kid from Whitehall, Michigan, that gets kidnapped by the circus. And through a series of adventures, he finds his courage. In the Detroit Free Press called it a fast-paced, well-designed story about believing in yourself. And Muskegon Art Museum, I did all the illustrations, and it was on display both at the Muskegon Art Museum and Ludington Center for Arts. And so that's a little bit about that book. So obscurity, going back to obscurity, when I go to talk to people and people don't know me. And I'll give you an example of that, which I run into. How many of you heard of the author of my last name of Bachman? Bachman. Yeah. Oh, okay. Don't give it away. Okay. Anybody else heard of that name? Here's another clue. he wrote a compilation called Different Seasons. If that don't ring a bell, I'll give you the answer. Richard Bachman wrote a short story called The Body, which later became the movie Stand By Me. The other short story in the compilation was Shawshank Redemption with Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Richard Bachman was actually the pen name for Stephen King. So Obscurity is the name recognition, the brand. And every time I talk to people, it's, okay, I'm getting my name out there. I'm pushing, okay, I want people to associate Ingar Rudholm with this traveling circus series. I'm actually writing 4 books in the series. So I'm trying to get, like Stephen King's known for horror, I want to be known for children's books. So that's getting out of obscurity. And how did this shy kid from Whitehall, Michigan, write a book that was reviewed by Detroit Free Press, Muskegon Tribune, Norton Shores Examiner? How did it get into the art museum? One word: persistency. And there's a great line in the movie The Founder, which is about Ray Kroc at McDonald's. And Michael Keaton does a speech at the end. And he said, how did I grow McDonald's into 119 countries with an annual revenue of $28 billion? Persistency. With persistency, you can get out of obscurity. Your company can become a brand like Coca-Cola or McDonald's. So how am I trying to get out of obscurity when I don't have the advertising budget of Coke or McDonald's? Answer: I will use all 3 social media sites and before spending a dime on advertising costs on Amazon. When my dad was a kid, he would listen to the Lone Ranger on the radio station, and the commercials would come on between the shows. My mom's generation, she's slightly younger, watched the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. But during my generation, everybody's attention switched from the radio from radio to television to the internet. And all eyes, and make no mistake, all eyes are switching to the phone. And right here, if you're not marketing on this, you're losing out. So this is a very powerful tool of using social media because, like in my mom's day and age, they had ABC, NBC, and CBS. They're getting replaced by Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So everybody's switching their focus. The beautiful thing about the phone and the social media, it's free. Okay, so there's 3 things to remember when it comes to marketing on social media: the written word, a great picture, or a great video. When it comes to social media, I urge you to focus on your strengths and find somebody to help you with the rest. Like, for example, I like to go home with my little computer, be quiet, and type out my words. And I like to draw my pictures. And believe me, today was a challenge. So I focus on what I'm strength at, and then I had my good friend Robert Barrow help me with the video and record it so I could put it on YouTube. See, I'm good at the written word and the illustrations, not the video. So how I use Instagram is all about pretty pictures with a well thought out comment. And I also use hashtags, and no less than 20. And basically what a hashtag is, it's like the number sign. And in the simplest form, when you put a hashtag in front of a word on social media, it's a way for people to search you and find out information about your product, your book, or any discussion that you want. I don't use less than 20 hashtags to get people's attention, because if somebody's searching for my book or children's books on Facebook, Instagram, the hashtags help with the search just like Google. When you type in something in Google and something pops up, you want your name to come first. LinkedIn. Now, I don't use this as much, but LinkedIn is another website that is very helpful when networking businesses, employees, and others in your field. So what I plan on doing is since I'm good at the written word, I'll write blogs for it, and I try to expand my circle, whether it be a librarian, a bookstore, or things of that nature. And then another one that I don't really do, but I thought I'd bring it up, is Twitter. And Twitter, and I'll get into the next thing about sales pitch. The nice thing about Twitter is you can introduce yourself, your product, your book to anybody that'll listen. Again, using hashtag, I believe, yeah, you can use hashtags, and that's all about expanding your network. On a side note, this more pertains to me, would be how to market myself as an author. And I would recommend, since this book is available on Amazon, of starting your own author page, which is, again, free, but you can give a brief bio, you can add your book trailer to it, and your editorial reviews, like the Detroit Free Press, you can add that. And again, it's free. So set up an author page. Another website out there is called Wattpad. And basically Wattpad is like the Facebook for writers and readers. And you can upload a chapter, 2 chapters, or the entire book, and people can just read it, comment on it, give you advice, and that's called Wattpad. So if you're ever into writing a book and want to get some followers, go to Wattpad. There's another website called Goodreads. And Goodreads is just like Wattpad, except you can't upload really your, a chapter here and there. It's more about setting up your bio, getting reviews, connecting with an author, you can connect to authors and you can connect to readers. So Goodreads is a good page for that. And you can even read reviews by other people. And you can communicate with the reader directly. I mean, before, you write a book and you send it out into the ether, and, you might get a review or not, but this is one way to connect readers to the author. Another thing that you can do if you're starting out with writing is join some writing groups and forums on Facebook. And one that I started with my writing group in Muskegon, and it's free to join. It's called Written in the Mitten. And with Written in the Mitten, we talk about library events around the state of Michigan, independent bookstores around the state of Michigan that carry Michigan authors. And so if you free to join if you're interested in writing. But it's authors helping authors. And I think we just reached 240 members all around the state of Michigan. All right. The sales pitch. Okay. This one was the most difficult for me, and I'm still working on it. And this, definitely, if you're a small business owner, or you own your own business, or you're organizing a fundraiser, the sales pitch, and I'm not typically a salesperson, but in order for me to talk to the potential reader of my book, I had to develop a sales pitch. And one, I watch for inspiration videos and how-to videos, I go to YouTube. And one in particular, how am I doing on time? Okay. One in particular is by Forbes magazine contributor Carmen Gallo. And he had this great 4-minute video about developing a 15-second sales pitch. And so he talks about, one, keep the description short. And that means condensing a 170-page book into 2 sentences. And keep it short, because believe me, when I walk into a library, bookstore, talk to bookstore owners, or even a little boy or a girl that comes up and wants to know about the book, I only got 15 to 20 seconds of their time. So it's got to be short, and you got to connect with them right away. And hopefully, sometimes I give too much away, and it's like, well, but you got to hook them. And it's about a hook. And, I'll talk a little bit about that, is like musicians, like Keith Richards will go down into the basement of his house and work on a hook for the next Rolling Stones album. But that hook, because when you hear a piece of music and you hear the first couple chords, you're like, sometimes you're like, I remember that. So a pitch is kind of like a hook, a musical hook. And when I'm talking to people, I also be enthusiastic, because no one can market your book or product better than you can. You know your book or services better than anyone around because you created it. So it's up to you to be pumped about it and act like you're describing your firstborn child to someone. Give it that level of passion. And then I also use hand gestures and tonality. How am I doing on time?
Just about that.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. So blah, 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 blah. So anyway, any questions, I guess? I guess.
So what's your sales pitch?
Oh, sure. It's about a 14-year-old boy that gets trapped by the circus. And in order for him to go home, he has to defeat the ringmaster, because the ringmaster has a pocket watch that has the ability to fast forward, stop, and erase time. And tonality. At the end, I almost go down to a whisper, like I'm telling the child a secret. And then I use hand gestures like fast forward, stop, and erase time. Mm-hmm. And so it's tonality and hand gestures.
Very nice.
Well, thank you very much for your time.